The board has participated in a closed attorney-client session and a risk management session. At the risk management session, one of the cases was Trent Jurek versus Palm Beach County School Board. Mrs. McQuinn recused herself from that meeting because of a potential conflict. We'll now call the regular board meeting of the School Board of Palm Beach County for February 17, 2021 to order at 5:05 p.m. Mrs. Bass, please call the roll.
District 1, Barbara McQuinn.
Here.
District 2, Alexandria Ayala.
Here.
District 3, Karen Brill.
Here.
District 4, Erica Whitfield.
Here.
District 5, Frank Barrieri.
Here.
District 6, Marcia Andrews.
Here.
District 7, Deborah Robinson.
Here.
We have quorum with all 7 board members present. Also joining us on our dais is Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy. And joining us here at the tables in front of us until they can once again join us on the dais are no longer necessary for social distancing purposes, our General Counsel Sean Bernard, Inspector General Teresa Michael, and Board Clerk Carol Bass. Palm Beach County Student Council President Santiago Alvarez will be joining us virtually through Google Meets. Senior staff members will join us periodically as directed by the Superintendent. Viewers and listeners can access the meeting today by either watching on Comcast channels 234 and 235, UVerse channel 99, or by using the YouTube link on our webpage at palmbeachschools.org. We also offer a listening-only option, which the public can access by calling 561-357-5900 or toll-free at 1-866-930-7015. The meeting ID is 1-561-880-1124 #. This meeting is being transcribed by a closed captioner, so remember to speak at a reasonable pace. Will everyone please stand for the pledge to be led by Superintendent Fenoy?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome any public speakers who are joining us in person today. While your attendance here at the board office is appreciated, please be mindful of important safety protocols that the district now has in place to conform with COVID-19 safety guidelines. Please respect this cautionary warning that in the event of interference with the orderly processes of the meeting, failure to follow the safety protocols and procedures, or otherwise disruptive conduct, this conduct will result in removal of the person from the meeting. Please abide by these protocols so Palm Beach County School Police officers do not have to take action. We have 3 items. We have no minutes to approve. We have 3 items to be added today: P2, P3, and PR1. Good cause exists for adding P2 to the agenda so employees can begin in their new positions as soon as possible. As to P3, good cause exists to enable timely processing of staff employment actions. Item PIR1, Memorandum of Understanding with Department of Emergency Management. Good cause exists for adding item PIR1 to this agenda as it will benefit the health, safety, and welfare of the Glades area community by providing a convenient location for eligible residents to receive COVID-19 vaccinations. On January 10, 2021, the Florida Division of Emergency Management requested the use of the parking lot and certain indoor areas of the Anquan Bolden Stadium at Pahokee High School so that they could make COVID-19 vaccines available and more convenient for area residents. This facility was identified by the Florida Division of Emergency Management as a result of a previous vaccination event attended by Governor Ron DeSantis on February 3, 2021. Board approval of the Memorandum of Understanding is needed now because the Florida Division of Emergency Management would like to begin providing vaccines to eligible residents of the Glades area immediately. Mr. Superintendent, do you have any items to withdraw?
Mr. Chairman, I have nothing to withdraw this time.
Board members, we have 1 item that's been pulled from the agenda so far, BRD1. Is there any other items you wish to pull at this time? Which one?
PC9.
PC9? PC9 has also been pulled. Before we approve the agenda, I'd like the board to consider reordering the agenda to move COM1 to the first item of business right after the student government report. COM1 involves the City of Boca Raton's donation of land to the district, and we have the mayor here tonight, so I'd like to get that one at the beginning of the meeting so we can get him back where he's got to be back in the City of Boca. Do we have a motion? Motion by Mrs. Whitfield, second by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries 7-0 with moving that item up. We now need a motion to approve the entire agenda. Motion by Dr. Robinson, seconded by Ms. Ayala. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Any disclosures or abstentions? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent, comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're closing in on 1 year since the method by which our district educates students was forever changed by the pandemic. Who can not forget how on March 13th we pivoted on a dime to distance learning for the remainder of the 2020 school year? The challenge of educating our students digitally from the safety of their homes uncovered widespread disparities and presented an opportunity to greatly reduce the digital divide. From a technological perspective, the advances we as a district have made are nothing short of remarkable. We immediately learned that thousands of students didn't have a computer in their home, Wi-Fi, or both. To ensure access to Google Classrooms, we quickly began distributing tens of thousands of computers to students. By this past fall, we achieved a 1-to-1 ratio, student-to-device ratio. To make learning more interactive, the district also installed a smart panel in every single classroom. All of this is just the beginning of this remarkable journey. As I mentioned, the other challenge was providing internet connectivity to students who, for many reasons, did not have access to affordable or free Wi-Fi at home, and so the district's Digital Inclusion Initiative was launched. The goal is to provide all students, regardless of zip code, access to reliable internet access in their homes. This is all part of a 50-square-mile Wi-Fi mesh network that is generated through a partnership between the school district, the county, local municipalities, and James Gavrilos and his team at the Education Foundation. This project is primarily funded through federal CARES Act dollars and supplemented by donations from our wonderful community partners. Without getting too technical, the Wi-Fi mesh network is created by connecting fiber optic cables to radios, many of which are fastened to tall poles. The radios provide the Wi-Fi signal to users within the municipality. Identified families will be provided a Wi-Fi extender to capture this signal and broadcast the internet connection within their home. Although the Wi-Fi network is not running yet, many installation components are well underway. You may have noticed the poles and radio equipment already being erected in many communities, or maybe you've seen yard signs indicating that a Wi-Fi network is coming soon. Once this phase is complete, about 25,000 district students will have free high-speed internet access at home, and even more as a result of the future phases, I will update you on once that service begins. Speaking of building a brighter future, the cornerstone of postgraduate success is preparing students for the career path that fulfills their dreams. February is Career and Technical Education Month. In our district, CTE is designed to empower today's students by setting them up for success, whether they choose to further their education in traditional college, technical school, through industry certifications, or pursue careers in the military. Thank you to all of the CTE instructors preparing our students to be competitive in a global economy. I'd also say that February is also Love the Bus Month. This annual month-long celebration is held each February. The district's roughly 600 bus drivers are the first to greet our students in the morning and the last to say goodbye in the afternoon. They certainly help set the tone for the child's day. To our drivers, I say thank you for your continued dedication. At this time, if I could have Mr. Oswald come forward, I'd like the Deputy Superintendent to come forward and introduce one of our new principals, Mr. Demetrius Permenter.
Thank you, Dr. Fenoy, and good evening, board members. It is with great pleasure that I introduce you a new principal who's taken on a unique role working with our Department of Juvenile Justice, which there are locations throughout Palm Beach County, working with some of our most neediest students, Dr. Demetrius Permenter.
To the board, Chair Boardman Barbarieri, Vice Chairwoman Brill, to Dr. Donna Fenoy, to everyone in their respectful places, thank you. Thank you very much. As you allow these nerves to settle just a little bit, I'll begin speaking. My name is Demetrius D'Angelo Permenter. I am the husband of that lovely young lady and young man in the back, Dr. Keisa LaShawn Permenter and Carter Permenter. I am excited to be the principal of alternative education under support services. I don't know if any of you remember back when I was in the PNP pool, we marketed professional growth with growing your own. We are growing our own. I'm a product of us growing our own. And I've been planting in a lot of places in Palm Beach County, but they all work together for my good. I started out as the guidance counselor at Lakeshore Annex in Belglade. Then I was moved over to Pahokee as a guidance counselor with Dr. Reed Bain. Royal Palm Beach High School, Sheila Henry was the principal at the time. As a young man, I was excess, and God knows, I just thought that was the end of the world because I was excess. And then after that, I actually became a part of alternative education where a lot of things were ignited in me, where I saw a lot of young men that looked just like me that needed a cheerleader, needed somebody that would encourage them to be more than what they could see with their natural eye. I then moved into being a member of the courthouse as a court liaison. And then I found myself as a assistant principal at Forest Hill Community High School, which I believe Ms. Ayala is responsible for, and I spent the majority of that time with Mr. Chuck Shaw. And there was the diamond in the rough, because as I said, I was planted in a lot of different places, and what we have to do and what I appreciated is that we grow where we're planted. And I thank God for the opportunity to grow in Palm Beach County for the past 20 years. I'd like to say thank you to a few people, if you'll allow me. I want to say thank you to Ms. Hubbard Williams, my director at Support Services. Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to my former principal, Ms. Esther Rivera at Forest Hill Community High School. Also, Ms. Karen Wetzel, the Central Area Instructional Superintendent. And these are the people, I want to name a few people that watered me along the way. We call them mentors, but these people watered me as I was planning. Mr. Eddie Lee Rose, Dr. Lee, Dr. Anthony Lockhart, Dr. Angela Best, Dr. Vancia Haywood, Dr. Reed Bain, Miss Christy Ragsdale, Miss Alma Horn, Miss Ethel Randolph, Miss Kathy Perry, and Miss Vicki Corman. And I want to mention someone right now that I have to say, if you asked me this question 3 years ago, if she watered you, I would probably say no. And that is Dr. Mary Stratos. And Dr. Mary Stratos, I want to say thank you to her for removing my training wheels, because sometimes we think it's supposed to be easy as we're going up this ladder. And not only did she make it tough, you know how when you plant a palm tree in a new establishment, a new home, you have to put the wood planks on it to prevent it from moving. That's what she did with me. She put those wood planks on me, and I heard things that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear. And because of those things, I believe that I grew. But last and definitely not least, my wife and my son. My wife helped me, God knows, with those targeted selection questions. She would not allow me to go to sleep without asking me the star format. And I'm very grateful. I know it might not be the politically correct thing to do, but I just want to say I love you, honey. I thank you. I appreciate you. I thank all of you, and I am going to do my absolute best to present a well-grown tree in this department. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
Just keep remembering who your rock is, sir, and you'll be all right.
Board member comments, Ms. McQuinn?
Yes, thank you. We are still in February. Seems like a very short and a very long month. Certainly I can't speak to, in terms of Black History Month, I cannot speak to the experience of being Black, but I do want to tell you something that I've learned that I hope I can pass on to others, being of I was explained to in a training that I had recently, a racial equity training, not here, it was through Families First, but saying that sometimes, like myself, I bristle at the term white privilege because I didn't grow up privileged, but I certainly grew up advantaged. And so I've learned that there is another term that I think every one of us who is white can agree that we have the advantage of a skin color here in the United States. But another thing is I was invited recently, and in fact I will be sworn in Saturday, to a national organization, not as a school board member, but as an individual. I would never, 6 months ago, have thought to look at the organization first and number one, what is the diversity of the organization? I was happy with that. And the other was, does the organization have a statement regarding LGBTQ? And this organization does, and welcomes the inclusion. So that was something that I know my eyes have been open to in terms of something I wouldn't have known to look at before. So there's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McQuinn. Ms. Ayala?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also want to give a huge congrats to Dr. Pimenter. I'm so excited for him, and I had the great honor to celebrate with him and the team at Forest Hill on the day when he would be leaving to go on do this great work. Congratulations. I know you're going to make us so proud, Dr. P. Over the last month, I've had the pleasure to visit Pine Jog Elementary, Forest Hill High, Coniston Middle, Benoit Farm Elementary, Everglades Elementary, Hope Centennial Elementary, and my very own school, Palm Springs Elementary. And I want to give a great gratitude to the principals and their teams for opening their doors up to me, welcoming me with open arms, and showing me all of the amazing work that takes place in our schools every single day within District 2. I want to give a special shout out tonight to Everglades Elementary and Principal Ross's team, whose t-shirt design contest winner I'm proudly wearing up here tonight. And it says, "Color Everglades with kindness." So on National Random Acts of Kindness Day and every day, Everglades Elementary is coloring their school with kindness under Principal Ross's amazing leadership. Yesterday, we celebrated 100 days of learning. It was a treat for me to be able to come together with local elected female friends and colleagues, community leaders, organizations, and others to various sponsor treats for our elementary schools yesterday. 7 District 2 schools were included. I visited 5 and had help for the other 2. And countywide, it was over 20 schools that we were able to provide with a little treat to just show our appreciation and gratitude for the work that they've done for these last 100 days and 80 to go. Thank you to every single generous sponsor for recognizing the hard work and commitment of our schools. During our Hispanic Education Coalition meeting last Friday, Mrs. Patricia Trejo, Administrative Program Planner for Hispanic and Latino Studies at our district, provided a thorough presentation of the hard work being done to ensure that there are lessons infused with Latino history and culture within all content areas at the elementary level as per state statute. This work is a huge undertaking for anyone to do, and let alone one person, so I wanted to commend Mrs. Trejo in her efforts to help increase cultural competence year-round, not just during Hispanic Heritage Month, and let her know that we are so proud of her for this work. Finally, I want to congratulate 2 of our very own district superstars here in Palm Beach County. Once again, Mrs. Patricia Trejo and Dr. Patricia Ordonez Feliciano, who were selected to serve as co-facilitators for the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents Linking Latina Leaders Network. Both were chosen from nationwide applicants, hundreds of them, and they are the very first Latinas from our school district to receive the honor of serving in such a capacity at the national level. So let that sink in for a second. What a great way to have Palm Beach County School District represented, as well as the state of Florida. It's a national network. Thank you both for your continuous focus on internal leadership for yourself so that you can be better developed to serve our children better every single day. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Ayala. Mrs. Whitfield?
Thank you so much. This has been actually a pretty great month and week for me. On Monday, I went to my very last of my school visits. So I've visited all my schools now, and it's just such a pleasure to be able to see the students and the principals and get to catch up with all of them and see how their year's going. I've also completed 4 of my State of the City addresses with Dr. Robinson attending the Boynton Beach one. So again, thank you for that. We just finished Del Rey's a couple weeks ago. That was one on my last ones, Lantana, Boynton, and Lake Worth, I've had the opportunity to go to. I really loved getting a chance to communicate with the representatives that oversee their cities and get a chance to talk to them and share, the difficulties that schools are going through, kind of prepare them, and then also ask for their assistance in going forward. Having our cities be involved in our schools just means the world to making really great schools. So I'm really glad I was able to do that. And finally, one of the things that I have just been so proud of for this past week, last week, Dr. Fenoy and I were able to do a little meet and greet virtually with the students that participate in the Compass group, the transgender students. They have a kind of a social support group that meets twice a week. And so Dr. Fenoy actually was able to speak to them, hear their stories, which was amazing. They actually put it out to all the GSAs in the county. So we had 39 people on the call. Over 30 of them were actually students that called in on a weeknight at 5:30 on this virtual call just because they were so excited to get a chance to tell their story to the superintendent. It was truly a historic moment for our school district. I think, it opened up a lot of eyes, and really it was amazing, just the terminology. I know Dr. Fenoy got to learn a whole lot of new words, which was really interesting and exciting for us to be able to do. It's something we're going to try to continue to do, and so I'm looking forward to that continuing on, the additional ability for us to have communication with our LGBTQA and I students. Thank you so much for attending and being a part of that, Dr. Fenoy. It really meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whitfield. Mrs. Andrews?
And thank you, and good afternoon to everyone. As we continue to celebrate Black History Month, I would like to celebrate Coach Eddie Lee Rhodes. I just heard his name called by the new principal. A Pahokee hero, an educational legend for over 50 years, a teacher, administrator, mentor, and historic coach for Pahokee High School Blue Devils. He is an icon in the Glades region. Everyone knows Coach Rhodes. On yesterday, Coach Rhodes was honored in high fashion with the renaming at grand opening and ribbon cutting ceremony of the new Eddie L. Rhodes Pahokee Gymnasium. Many dignitaries from the Tri-Cities region, the county, the state, they were all present for this big honor. We heard special reflections from his student, NFL Hall of Fame star, Ricky Jackson. Students, adults, and the entire community will enjoy the beautiful new Eddie L. Rhodes Gymnasium. So as we celebrate Black History Month, which we should celebrate every day because there's no history without Black history, we celebrate one of our local leaders, Eddie Lee Rhodes. I also want to say congratulations for two schools who are increasing the number of women in STEM. Congratulations to Park Vista Community High School and Pahokee Middle Senior High School for earning the College Board's AP Computer Science Principals Female Diversity Award. This honor is one way for schools to celebrate and be recognized for their commitment for increasing the participation of female students in science-related fields. Pahokee Middle Senior High School, Park Vista Community High School, you're awesome. And lastly, I want to congratulate the city of Westlake, the newest city in the county of Palm Beach, Westlake, sitting right in the heart of District 6. You're to be commended for starting your new educational youth advisory committee. Your first inaugural meeting in January was a great success, and we know that you will be a partner and a participant with the School District of Palm Beach County as we work on the best success for all of the students in the Loxahatchee, Acreage, and Westlake area. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Andrews. Dr. Robinson?
Thank you. It's February, Black History Month. I will not be giving a Black History fact in February, but I will, starting again next month, and I will move my data presentations to my discussion items in the end. So just get ready. And I actually wasn't going to make any comments, but I was inspired by Dr. Pimenter's testimony, right? And his acknowledgement of those that, as he put it, watered him where he was planted. And so reminded me that I am truly looking forward to us resuming our summer internship program next year so we can water some young people as they grow in the fields of their choice. Now, just relative to Black History Month, though, I do feel the need to quote James Baldwin, who I hope you know this author, who was once described as saying his education in the American public school system is wanting because, quote, history has been taught without cognizance of my presence. And so what he was saying is what I've been saying and what others have been saying is that the African diaspora is not appropriately represented in our curriculum. And so then I would just roll into thanking both Diana Fetterman and Nolan Rao for their much improved textbook adoption process, which included a rubric that was created by the Coalition for Black Student Achievement to address that absence of the African diaspora in our representation in our textbooks. So we have textbooks we are adopting tonight. And I think that we are making a move in the right direction. We still have miles to go before we sleep, as they say. But I do want to acknowledge this step forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Ms. Brill?
Thank you. So I've discovered over the last few weeks since I moved my seat to this end of the dais that sometimes when it gets to me, what I was going to talk about has already been mentioned. So there is a distinct disadvantage. I do want to thank Mrs. Andrews for talking about women in STEM. I was going to speak about that. So instead, I'm going to shift to something else. At the last board meeting, while we were here, I received notification that I was chosen for the 2021 Council of Great City Schools Board Cohort group. And so I'm one of 18 school board members, and I had to pivot really quick because they had us scheduled for 2 incredibly intense meetings this past Friday and Saturday. They were till 8 o'clock at night. And for those of you who remember what encounter groups were like, that's what it felt like. It was incredibly intense, but I'm looking forward to it because in these 9 months, we are going to be intensely working on how to improve student outcomes, and it will help me to hone my leadership skills. So as appropriate, I will share with you information that I gain. And then finally, I do want to recognize somebody who I received an email about this afternoon, and that is Amanda Ladd, who has been chosen to receive the 2020 Gutterman Family Outstanding Holocaust Educator Award from the Arthur and Emily Gutterman Family Center for Holocaust and Human Rights Education at FAU. Every year they have a dinner. I don't know if they'll be able to do the dinner this year, but they are going to try to do it in the fall, which hopefully, by that point we will be able to all be face to face. But Ms. Ladd will be honored along with the winners from Broward and Palm Beach counties at that event. And just because I haven't mentioned it yet, Ms. Ladd is a teacher at Eagles Landing Middle School. So it's Mr. Barbieri's school. I did ask him if he would mind if I jumped right into his district, and I just want to say congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chairwoman Brill. Board members, my report is attached. I do want to tell you that I had the opportunity today to visit a school in Ms. McQuinn's district. I went to Dwyer High School, and I saw some interesting things there, including some of the shortcomings that those students face. And I've had conversations today with the Chief of Staff, the Superintendent, Mrs. Paul. I'm trying to remember the Deputy Superintendent for some action that should be taken at that school to help the children there that are not performing as well as we could hope, and giving them the resources that they need to make sure that they can move on the way we'd want them to. The other thing that I need to do at this point is also do the recognition of our employees who have passed away. If I can get there. Janice Anita, teacher, high school reading, Royal Palm Beach High School. She was born in 1963 and she died in January 2021. James Senecola, a teacher, elementary 4 at Manatee Elementary. He was born in 1985, died in January 2021. James Wally, coordinator 2, facilities management, maintenance and plant operations. He was born in 1960. He died in December 2020. And Todd Wright, a teacher, ESE, Palm Beach Lakes High School. He was born in 1966 and he died in 2020. If we could take a moment to remember these employees and their families. Thank you. At this time, is County PTA President, County Student Government President Alvarez on the line?
I am. Can everyone hear me okay?
It's all yours, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone has had a productive month. Throughout this past month, the County Council has continued our work to keep students and teachers engaged and motivated. Student governments across the county are continuing to plan school and community-based projects. We have done motivational posters and quotes around the schools, specifically a lot for sports teams, teacher and counselor appreciation letters, hygiene drives, and fun lunches. Additionally, in preparation for Valentine's Day, student governments across the county held Valentine's Day activities following CDC guidelines, sold flowers across the county, held Valentine's Day activities, and kind of just tried to make it special while still being able to follow the rules. Additionally, to remember and honor the lives of the 17 we tragically lost 3 years ago, many schools around the district held virtual memorials. Our student governments also all participated in the District 5 Rally Convention, in which student governments across Palm Beach County, St. Lucie County, and Martin County share project ideas and run for elected positions. Schools presented amazing school and community service projects and ran for positions. I am proud to say that Boca High ran for and won the positions of president and parliamentarian. Additionally, student leaders have continued to keep all our students informed on school-run social media accounts. They have been providing up-to-date information about school events, sports, and college and career information. The senior class executive boards are continuing to plan and organize special events for the last semester of our high school years. Furthermore, I have continued to work and flesh out the ideas for the student committee I proposed. As you all already know, the student committee, as I have proposed it, will be a student-run and selected committee. The president of each school would be the representative for their school and the student representative to the school board as the chair. Additionally, I have thought about the idea of allowing for the student committee to designate and create ad hoc committees within the committee to include specific points that Ms. Ayala had made at the last meeting, and that way we can encompass everyone's idea into making this committee as successful as possible. These ad hoc committees would work on specific issues and can include other students from schools who wish to involve themselves. I will continue to perfect this proposal and idea and look forward to working with Superintendent Vinoy in the creation of this committee. I also wanted to say Happy Black History Month. And as Ms. Andrews said, well, our history isn't history without Black history. As always, I would like to thank everyone on this board for your efforts to better our education opportunities and for making our students your first priority. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Alvarez. Mr. Superintendent, that COM1.
Yes, sir. COM1. I recommend the board proclaim February the 17th, 2021 as a day to acknowledge the Boca Raton City Council.
Motion by Ms. Brill, seconded by Mrs. Andrews. Under discussion, I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas the School Board of Palm Beach County, Florida wishes to issue this proclamation and recognize the Boca Raton City Council for its long-standing partnership with the school board, as recently demonstrated by the dedication of a school site, and whereas neighborhood transitions in Boca Raton resulting in the influx of increased school-age children, along with growth in the unincorporated western Boca Raton and Delray areas, have resulted in the need for a new school in southern Palm Beach County, currently identified as Boca Raton Area Elementary 05C, and whereas the City of Boca Raton has generously dedicated plus or minus 15 acres of publicly owned land in the Countess d'Ornley Park to facilitate construction of the new school within Boca Raton proper, and whereas in the interest of government efficiency, the property has been used as a temporary campus for both Verde Elementary and then Addison Meisner Elementary while their respective schools were being modernized, and whereas the new school construction will begin as soon as Addison Meisner Elementary vacates the temporary campus at the end of the 2021 school year, and whereas construction is expected to take slightly more than 1 year with an opening date of August 22 for the new elementary school, and whereas the dedication of a school site will facilitate the establishment of another world-class school within the city limits of Boca Raton, Florida, now therefore be it resolved that the Superintendent and School Board of Palm Beach County do hereby proclaim the foregoing recitals are true, correct, and incorporated into this proclamation by this reference, and be it further resolved that the school board wishes to honor and recognize the Boca Raton City Council for its contributions to the school district, including this dedication of a school site, and for many years of partnership with the school board to provide world-class schools in the city of Boca Raton. Done this 17th day of February 2021 in West Palm Beach, Florida. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Board members, if you don't mind, Mayor Singer is here. If we could go down and get a photo with Mayor Singer. Mr. Superintendent?
Yes, that's fine. Does you want to say a few words?
Mayor Singer will be our first speaker. Mayor Singer.
Mr. Chairman, school board members, Dr. Fenoy, thank you so much for having me here today. While as much as I appreciate on behalf of the city your thanks of us, I really came here to extend our thanks to you because this has been a 3-year plus partnership in getting this across the finish line. First, I'm here on behalf of all my city council colleagues who could not join us today, Deputy Mayor Andrea Levine O'Rourke, council members Yvette Drucker, Monica Mayotte, Andy Thompson, and Councilmember Jeremy Rogers, who's on military leave serving overseas. I'm blessed to work with that great team every single day, and we're blessed to have great partners in the school district. And this is just the latest of more and more partnerships we've had with you over the last few years. Mr. Chairman, when you and I first talked about this 3 years ago, about the idea for siting the school here because the money was in the budget, but the land that you had originally cited for it over in the southwestern part of the county fell through. I didn't imagine all the work that would go through, but I'm so grateful for all your leadership, Dr. Fenoy, your entire team, and I want to thank a few of you in particular I've had the pleasure to work with and see firsthand about what it took to get this school done. There were many iterations of planning. First, it was just figuring out the temporary site, then getting permission from the state to build it, even though all of the numbers show that we required it. I had a great opportunity to work time and time again with Ms. Wanda Paul and your entire staff there. So, Ms. Paul, thank you. Just to let people know, there were, even once we got the temporary site set, in theory, there were more iterations, and I think at one point 15 different configurations for just that temporary site. Once we got that up and running, then there was more land, different givebacks of land, different configurations, changing the building envelope, traversing utility easements, drainage issues, lake issues, and yet we worked tirelessly. You all worked tirelessly, your staff, so thank you very much. Chris Garrison, I want to say special thanks to you as well. And I had the pleasure in multiple meetings to work with David Dolan, Michael Burke, and just see how hardworking your staff is, Dr. Fenori, and school board members. So thank all of you. We're so grateful for what you're doing. This has allowed the rebuilds of those 2 schools to proceed apace. After the Parkland tragedy, we don't know how we would have done it had we not had a place to locate them. And this temporary site came at the right time, and fortunately in the right place. And I'm grateful that with everything going on, those modernizations are on schedule, that this rebuild or this new permanent construction is on schedule, and just a huge words of thanks for what you're doing every single day to keep our students educated and in the classrooms. When we look across the country and see other districts who can't come close to what you're able to pull off every single day, it's a testament to how hard you work as administrators, educators, staff people, and people who care about our students. So thank you for what you do every single day, and we're very grateful for our continued partnership.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for taking the time to come up here this evening.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Shaw. Is Mr. Shaw here? Mr. Shaw, this is a first for us. I'm sure it's a first for you.
It seems very strange after all these years to be over on this side of the room, but watching. But thank you so much for the opportunity to speak tonight. Last month, when you made the decision of renaming the Adult Education Center, you know how difficult that was for me to even begin to accept something like that and understand, because it's never about me. It's about the people that I've had the opportunity to work with over the years. And other than saying thank you, I do think it's important to know that there were some things that have been done by our adult education staff over the years that are extremely significant in this district. Virtual education in Palm Beach County started with adult education. Roger Pelser, who was the manager of adult ed, came to my office one morning and he said, I've got an idea, let's see what we can do with, and it was to create the first online classes in Palm Beach County. We did that with no money, but just the idea that it's something we could do. And it turned into what's now Palm Beach Virtual. Over the years, our adult education programs have partnered with the Workforce Alliance, Career Source, the Business Development Board, PACE, many, many other agencies and organizations to support the education of our adults. One of the programs that was extremely successful was with the Guatemalan community in Lake Worth, where we provided teachers who worked in that community with the people in the Guatemalan Center to provide programs for those students in a language that was very difficult for us as a school district to provide people who could, who were in a position to be able to speak that language. In addition, we created one of the programs that was called PAC Time, Parent and Child Together. This was an effort that was created by the creativity of some of our adult education staff who spent their time at a school working with parents for a period of time up to a half day, then breaking, and their children who were in childcare at the same time. The parents and the children then worked together. The parents were given instruction and support on how they could work with their children. That became a model that was used statewide. All of those things happened not because of anything that I did, but it was by us giving those adult education leaders and instructors the opportunity to be creative, to take risk, and do challenging things for the benefit of our community. I hope that as adult education continues to grow in this county, that we see the real opportunity for it to serve this district and to be able to come to this board with more and more really creative, really challenging programs that can help our adults learn to speak English, to be prepared for a career, to offer programs that are not available in many other parts, and do it at a cost that's tremendously less than what they would be paying in some of the career technical programs in the private sector. So again, thank you so much. It was an honor. Please take time when you have to go visit the Adult Ed Center, because it is a wonderful facility. And the good thing was there had about an on-site enrollment of about 900 students out of the 2,500 that they have enrolled. So thank you again so very much.
Mr. Shaw, the board is pleased that we were able to name that building after you for recognizing the 50-plus years of service that you gave not only to the children but to the adults of Palm Beach County. So we're happy that we could create a legacy for you that will last all of our lifetimes. So
thank you
for
very
coming
much.
this evening.
Have a good night and good luck.
President Gavrilos, our Education Foundation.
Thank you, Chairmember Vieri, Dr. Fenoy, and members of the school board. It's a great set for what I wanted to discuss tonight. Teachers are an interesting group, teachers and principals. They offer high-quality education to their kids, but it's just not about that moment, that program. It's the legacy that they leave. We honored the Principals of the Year last week, and you see the pride the principals take when they see their students going on to greater success. I say that to set the table for March when we hold our annual Distinguished Alumni Award. Now, it's the same group that we were going to honor last year, and coronavirus had other ideas, so we've moved it to this year. We will be honoring 2 graduates of our Palm Beach County Public Schools who have gone on to great success. Zach Gottsagen, an incredible young man, a graduate of the Dreyfus School of the Arts, who starred in that film, The Peanut Butter Falcon, was also a presenter at the Academy Awards last year. And also Brian Ray, who's the CEO of Garden of Life Supplements. And I use this as an illustration of my earlier point. We were in some meeting, many of you knew Artie Falk. Artie was an administrator and assistant principal, I think, for about 173 years at Palm Beach Gardens, something like that. And anytime something comes up, and we mentioned, Senator Bobby Powell one day, and Artie, he's one of mine. We were in a setting talking about the Distinguished Alumni Awards, and I mentioned Brian Ray. He's one of mine. He's a Palm Beach Gardens guy. Dr. Fenoy, your teachers and principals love these children so much, and they take so much pride in their success later in life when they go on and become these amazing community people. So on March 10th at 11:30, we will have a virtual event where we will honor both these 2 graduates of our schools as well as Mr. Alexander Dreyfus as our Business Leader of the Year. And I encourage anyone who would like to participate virtually to go to our website, and you can register for that event, and I'll pay our respects that day to these 3 incredible people. Again, that's on March 10th. We have to prepare our people for success in life, and so tonight, the good news report that I get to share, we have entered into a partnership and received a grant from the Florida Lottery. No, Frank, I did not win the $1 billion last week. I was just 6 numbers off, but I was close. But we have entered into an agreement with the Florida Lottery for a new program. Ms. Andrews, this one's for you. We are calling it the Raiders Rock the Preparation. It is a program for roughly 400 young people at Glade Central High School. These are 11th and 12th graders, many of whom are going to be first-generation high school graduates, where they will be prepped for the ACT and the SATs. They'll be given special tutorials, they'll be given special methodologies to learn, again, high-quality instruction to help them prepare for their college exams. Those students who attend 80% of the sessions and can demonstrate measurable increases in their test scores will have their SAT fees waived. So this is an incredible opportunity for these young people at Glade Central to not only get prepared to take the SAT, but also then actually take the SAT in a way that won't bring economic hardship on their families. So this is what we do. We prepare our kids for college and life. We rejoice when they have success in life. And Dr. Fenoy, your Education Foundation is honored to be a partner with you and just to be there and to support these programs that are doing such great work. Ladies and gentlemen, we are your Education Foundation, supporting the high quality work of our teachers, schools and principals in the finest school district in the state of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. President Katz, CTA.
Thank you. My name is Justin Katz. I'm president of the Classroom Teachers Association. I reached out to everyone, the board and district leadership, to make sure that we begin discussions and subsequently negotiations regarding instructional and working conditions for employees and students next year as soon as possible. I think if there was a lesson to be learned last year is that communicating more than you think you need to cannot possibly hurt you, and that's where we're at. The reason being, the existing blended learning MOU that governs distance learning and blended learning this year expires on June 30th of 2021. It will no longer exist. The district will have no contractual ability to conduct distance learning or blended learning at that point. So we need to reach out as soon as possible to begin this dialogue. Ideally for me and my teachers, these discussions and negotiations over a new MOU would conclude by the end of this school year so that they know what to expect before they go into the summer break and before they come back. There are some variables that we might not know until much later in this school year. We don't know what the legislature is going to do. We don't know what the governor or the commissioner of education are going to do, but we do know a lot about what we can start to prepare for. Your educators, almost 13,000 of them, by the end of this school year will have worked 20 million contract hours under these current conditions. Their opinions are critical to informing the next version of the MOU and distance learning and whatever blended learning version comes to bear in 2021, 2022. The most pressing concern that they have, and I'm sure most people could guess this, is simultaneous teaching does not work for the majority of students or the majority of teachers. So it is not serving either party. We need to do everything we can, and any future MOU regarding blended learning needs to address the fact that virtual students need to be clustered into virtual class periods, and physical students need to be clustered into physical class periods. It will make all the sense in the world for anybody who's seen this work to segregate these groups, to make it easier for the teacher to do their job, to make it easier for the students to learn. As president of the CTA, that is something that I can't stress enough. The master boards cannot be created absent consideration of what I just said. It's something that last year, once the master boards were made, the principals had a valid concern to gut the master boards. Would have been very difficult for them. It is February. We can plan for this. There will be no need to gut master boards because we can create them the way that they need to be created. While simultaneous instruction might be the most pressing concern for educators in terms of their working conditions, there are many other concerns relative to the existing MOU and other responsibilities that came along with it. We talked about during the calendar discussions the value of an extra week of summer to mental health for students and teachers, and I don't think you can necessarily quantify a week, but I can definitively say that 180 days of instruction and the learning and working conditions that take place far exceed 1 week of summer in terms of their effect on the mental health of our students and our teachers. So we need to do this right. And again, simultaneous instruction, it simply needs to become the exception to the rule. The rule needs to be to separate these students, and if it can't be done in certain circumstances, then we deal with simultaneous. But again, that's my biggest concern, and that's one of the reasons why I want to start these discussions as soon as possible. So please make sure that the district, the superintendent, reach out to us so that we can get this going. I think it'll do a lot, not just for your employees and students, but the community, to know what to expect as best as we can expect it given the variables that we know. So thank you all very much for your time, and have a good night.
Thank you, President Katz. President Laura Feldman, PTA, PTSA for the county. It's recorded.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, school board members, and Dr. Fenoy and staff. My name is Laura Feldman, and I'm honored to speak with you tonight as the president of Palm Beach County Council of PTAs, PTSAs. This month, I had the opportunity to share information with the Academic Advisory Committee from Florida PTAs and the Florida Department of Education's Know Your Schools campaign, also known as From Reports to Results. Through the review of the data and information in the edudata.fldoe.org website, we are better able to understand the state of our district and schools and to focus our advocacy on helping all students meet their potential. In other PTA news, last week we enjoyed County Council's virtual celebration for the Reflections Art Program. We loved seeing the enthusiastic students and their wonderful art, dance, music, and poetry submissions. Thank you all for putting in the time and effort to participate in this program. We are continuing our Letters of Love campaign. This is a fantastic opportunity for students to write letters to help the elderly living in more isolated settings feel more connected. Through this project, students can earn community service hours for the letters they write. For more information, please contact Sharon Lubin, wellness.pbccpta@gmail.com. On February 20th, Florida PTA will be hosting their How Do You PTA Today Leadership Summit. This exciting opportunity is for everyone to enjoy learning more about topics such as virtual engagement, virtual meeting tips and tricks, VPKs in early childhood, the Baker Act, PTA 101, and information for presidents, treasurers, secretaries, and much, much more. Also, please join County Council for our upcoming COVID-safe scavenger hunt to celebrate PTA's founders. For more information, please check out Palm Beach County Council of PTA's Facebook page. There is also still time to register for Florida PTA's Virtual Legislative Conference, March 21st and 22nd. This year, the event will be held virtually and has a very low registration fee. For more information and to register, please go to Florida PTA's website. Thank you all for your time.
Board members, before we start the committee reports, I direct your attention to the cupcake on the table there to my left and the beautiful lady sitting behind it, that our board clerk, Carol Bass, will be celebrating her birthday this week. So happy birthday, Carol. Our committee reports, the Academic Advisory Committee report is recorded, and our lobbyists are on the line. So let's go with the Academic Advisory Committee report. Please play the recording. No,
Good
she was
evening,
speaking.
Chairman Barbieri, school board members, Dr. Fenoy, and staff. My name is Laura Feldman, and I am honored to speak with you tonight as the chair of the Academic Advisory Committee. During our February meeting, we heard updates regarding the Student Academic Support Plan, as well as more specifics regarding the outreach, interventions, and professional development efforts. It was emphasized that the interventions are being put in place for all students who need the interventions, whether they attend school face-to-face or virtually. We also discussed the phases of the Academic Support Plan. This month's presentation during our meeting was From Reports to Results and was given by the Palm Beach County Council of PTAs, PTSAs. During the presentation, we reviewed the data in Florida Department of Education's website, edudata.fldoe.org, and safeschools4alex.org. We learned through these sites, through the information in these sites, we learned that we can better understand the state of our district and individual schools. Our discussions focused on the education gaps, graduation rates, specifically the gaps based on race and ethnicity, as well as for foster kids, discipline disparities based on race and ethnicity, the out-of-school suspension rate for students with 504 plans, the disproportionate enrollment of students in the ESC program, or students who have 504 plans based on race and ethnicity, meaning that the disparities, the disproportional enrollment is based on race and ethnicity. Professional development and the information on the safeschools4alex.org website, which lists the schools with the most suspensions in the state. The information from this presentation and these websites brought up many questions which we plan to discuss in future meetings. Thank you for your time.
Mr. LaFace, are you on?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I'm here.
Go ahead, if you'd like to go ahead and give your report to the board, that'd be great.
Yeah, certainly. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Superintendent Fenoy, Ron LaFace with Capital City Consulting. I appreciate you allowing me to participate in the board meeting today to give you a legislative update. As you are aware, on Monday, we did record a comprehensive legislative update for the executive cabinet that I know was distributed to board members, I believe, yesterday. So I won't rehash all of the details of the items that we covered in the recorded legislative update, but I would like to add a couple of somewhat supplemental details or updates to our Monday report. First of all, Senate Bill 48, which is the expansive voucher bill that was discussed on Monday, just passed the Senate Education Appropriations Committee about 30 minutes ago by a vote of 6-3. The bill is intact as described on Monday and continues to have all of the components, including the education savings accounts and the various ways to spend what would be considered the voucher funds using a debit card on the allowed expenses. There were two amendments offered by members of the Democratic Party, the minority party on the committee. The first amendment would require annual audits of the scholarship funding organization, which currently is Step Up for Students. Right now, annual audits are required, but the bill moves the audits to every 3 years, as well as an amendment that would lower the income eligibility in order to be eligible to receive a empowerment scholarship or voucher. Both of those amendments failed, and so as I mentioned, the bill is continuing to move into its third and final committee in the Senate, and we do continue to have concerns with the bill, both for a lack of accountability on how the funds will be spent to educate children who are eligible and receive a scholarship, as well as accountability on how their learning is progressing outside of the school district. To date, a House bill has not yet been filed on this issue, but there is one currently in the works, and so we expect to see that in the coming weeks. Another update is that all three of our legislative appropriations requests have been filed as House bills in the House, as well as the Senate forms have been filed. So the West Tech appropriation request is House Bill 2873. The Roosevelt appropriation request is House Bill 2449. And the post-COVID acceleration request is House Bill 2477. So with those filed, we're now working to have them heard on the House side in a committee so that they're eligible for the House budget. Finally, I did want to give an update on language that we were directed by the board to pursue this session that would authorize virtual meetings for board advisory councils, which is something that, has been a continual issue in Palm Beach County as well as other places. But we have drafted language that would allow for these advisory councils to meet virtually. And we have lobbied both the House and Senate education leadership on the issue. We have received very favorable responses. Nobody seems to have an issue with the item, and both chambers have agreed to pursue it and include it in some legislative packages that they're working on that will have other education items in them. So that language is moving as best as we could hope at this point, and so we will continue to pursue that language and hope to get it enacted. And finally, I don't know if Superintendent Fenoy mentioned this to you yet or was planning to do in a later report, but he will be testifying tomorrow in the House Education Appropriations Committee related to how Palm Beach has responded to COVID additional expenses, as well as attempting to find law students that the district has not been able to locate at this point. And we look forward to his presentation. We've had a few conversations about what he plans to cover, and Mr. Burke has been very helpful in helping to provide us with some numbers that we're going to present to the committee on future anticipated COVID expenses using some of the additional federal funds that will be coming down. But we are excited with his participation up here in Tallahassee virtually. So with that, I kind of would like to, take it at the will of the board, how you would like to proceed, Mr. Chairman. If anybody has any questions about what I just covered, or any questions about the items that I covered in the recorded report from Monday, or any other issues or directions, I leave it open to you for however you'd like to proceed at this point.
All right. I'll see if the board members have any questions. Ms. Brill, Vice Chairwoman Brill, go ahead.
Thank you. So I guess it's procedural, or maybe just how we're going to move forward with the bills that are out there. One of my concerns is we haven't had a discussion together as a group. I know the district is taking a position against Senate Bill 200, which may not go anywhere, but we haven't talked about it, about where we stand on it or been educated on it. And I get people coming to me from my community about that. The other bills I'm pretty good on. I understand them. But I would like us to have a conversation about it, just so that we know that we're all on the same page about it. Through the chair to the superintendent, do you want to share the position that you have?
Sure. Right now our position, and right now for me specifically as superintendent working with FADS, our position is that we still would like the decisions around student retention to rest with schools, because that's something we do every year, and because of the unintended potential consequences of just mass, retentions. However, I have been very thankful that Senator Berman has talked with me and the commissioner, and she has made some adjustments to that bill. And so at this point, I will be speaking as a representative of FADS, but I think the board's, the staff's decision or position is that we would like to leave it as is, because this is something that is individualized based on the schools, and they can prepare for those things.
If I may just follow up on that, and the only concern that I have, or one of the concerns that I have, is that initially the district was saying that we have a process in place for retaining students, which alludes to the because the bill states that it would be parent choice just for this year for a student, and I'm not saying I agree with retention, but for a student between the beginning school years through middle school, the parent can request retention. The process that we have is basically, if a parent comes to us, and correct me if I'm wrong, if a parent comes to us, wants their student retained, and the student is meeting the requirements of the pupil progression plan, they're just denied the opportunity. So I'm hoping that whether this bill goes forward or not, we as a district can re-examine. I know we have a pupil progression plan, but I think that this year in particular, we need to look at mental health. We need to look at other factors. So if a parent does come to us, that we give them an honest opportunity to express their concerns, because there are pros and cons, and I won't express how I feel because it might surprise you. I'm not, but because I have seen the pros and cons, having had one of my children retained. But I do think that we need to be open-minded regardless of what happens with this bill.
Yes, ma'am. What I'll commit to doing is I will have Deputy Superintendent and his team share with me our current processes, and then I will, as I speak to you on one-on-ones, we will talk through that. But let me get updated on our current processes and see if there's any areas for improvement. I'll be willing to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Mr. LaFace from the board? Thank you, Mr. LaFace. Have a nice evening.
Thank you, and thank you, board members.
Agenda topic speakers, we have none. That takes us to the consent agenda.